Today is the 40th anniversary of the Mount St. Helens eruption, and I wanted to read a nonfiction text to you. It's all about Mount St. Helens. Miss McGee actually got this book from the visitor center at Mount St. Helens, and she loaned it to me. So sit back, relax, and enjoy learning about Mount St. Helens. So Mount St. Helens, this is the state of Washington in orange. We are over here, Spokane, and Mount St. Helens is all the way over here on the other side of the state, just to give you an idea of where it is. Why make a volcanic monument? Do you know what a volcanic eruption is? A volcano is a mountain with openings called vents. When a volcano erupts, hot gases, rocks, ash, and lava can be thrown out of its vents. A volcanic eruption can destroy much of the land, wildlife, and plants that surround the volcano. Can you imagine how long it might take for the plants and animals to return to an area after a volcano erupts? Well, neither could the scientists who study volcanoes. But on May 18, 1980, a volcano in southwest Washington called Mount St. Helens erupted. Now, scientists have a place to study how nature renews itself after a volcano erupts. It is called Mount St. Helens National Volcanic Monument. You can go there and see it for yourself. Mount St. Helens National Volcanic Monument is 110,000 acres, about twice the size of Washington, D.C. The monument includes Mount St. Helens and much of the area that was destroyed by the 1980 eruption. The United States Congress established the monument in 1982. Before Mount St. Helens erupted, it was a beautiful mountain that stood 9,677 feet high. Its snow-covered sides sloped down to a thick forest. At the mountain's northern base lay Spirit Lake. Snow-fed rivers flowed through the forest. In the summer, campers fished in the lake and hiked along tree-lined trails. So this is a picture of Mount St. Helens, if you could see it. The mountain erupts. At 8:32 a.m. on May 18, 1980, Mount St. Helens erupted. A powerful earthquake beneath the mountain caused a landslide. Masses of snow, ice, and rocks slid down one side of the mountain. The landslide, called an avalanche, was the largest in history. So here's a picture of Mount St. Helens erupting, if you can see that. Part of the avalanche fell into Spirit Lake. It caused a huge wave to wash up from the lake onto the surrounding hills. The wave toppled giant trees. As the wave fell back into the lake, it carried many of the fallen trees with it. Another part of the avalanche plunged 14 miles down a river valley. In some places, the rocks, ash, and chunks of ice were 600 feet deep. Meanwhile, a blast of ash and hot gases zoomed away from the mountain like a rocket. Near the mountain, the blast traveled at about 650 miles per hour. The gases were heated to 550 degrees Fahrenheit, hot enough to melt a tin can. On the mountainsides, snow and ice that had been melted by the hot gases mixed with ash and formed a giant mass of mud. The mud flowed down the mountain and into the rivers that led away from the mountain. A dark cloud of ash rose 16 miles into the sky above the mountain. Part of the cloud was carried away by winds. It traveled east toward Montana and north into Canada. Here's another picture of the huge ash cloud, if you could see that. After the eruption. Soon after Mount St. Helens erupted, scientists began to explore the area they called the blast zone. The scientists found a huge hole or crater in the mountain. Almost 1,300 feet of the mountaintop had been blown away by the blast. The blast zone was enormous. It covered an area of about 150,000 acres. The land was covered with gray ash. Steam from melting chunks of ice rose above the rocks and ash. On the surrounding hills, trees as tall as 200 feet had been broken into millions of tiny, sharp pieces. Other trees, blown down by the volcano's blast, laid like matchsticks in the ash. The entire area was very quiet. There were no birds to sing or insects to buzz. When Mount St. Helens erupted, 200 bears, 5,000 deer, and 1,500 elk were killed. 57 people who were near the volcano were also killed. It looked like all of the life in the blast zone had been destroyed. So this is a picture of some trees in the blast zone. During the months after the eruption, scientists began to find survivors. In the surrounding mountains, the snow had sheltered many of the trees and huckleberry bushes. This snow shelter protected the trees and bushes from the direct path of the blast. Thick layers of ice that covered lakes high in the mountains had protected the fish and frogs underwater. Insect nests that were underground or were inside decaying, rotting logs had survived too. And mice, moles, and gophers began to poke their noses through the ash. They had been safe in their underground burrows. Colors return. At first, no plants could grow in the ash, but soon the moles and gophers became the blast zone's gardeners. Their underground tunneling mixed ash from above the ground with rich soil from below. This helped to make tiny holes for seeds that were blown in on the wind. The seeds landed in the holes and began to grow. So here is another picture of the blast zone. You can see that. Finally, in the summer of 1981, colors began to dot the gray land. First came the pink-flowered thistles and bright red fireweed. Then rain began to wash away the ash that was covering the roots of plants. As a result, many more plants were able to grow. Huckleberries and thimbleberries sprouted. Blue lupine and white avalanche lilies bloomed. Green ferns grew on the roots of overturned trees. So you can see here a picture how the color is starting to come back. Okay, and that was my reading a little bit about the history of Mount St. Helens. The book did go on for quite a bit longer, like 30 more pages, so I'm not going to sit here and read 30 more pages, but that gave you the general idea of what happened during the eruption and afterward. I hope you enjoyed learning a little bit more about Mount St. Helens. It's good to see all you guys. All right, have a good night.